Hello and welcome to the Boulder Ridge Wild Animal Park, the first privately owned facility to be featured on my tours. Here you won't find many popular zoo animals like big cats, bears, and great apes, but what you will see is an abundance of alligators, many species of birds, and a few kinds of primates, as well as giraffes, rhinos, and a very impressive collection of hoofstock, including some species that you'd seldom ever find at an AZA zoo. The park breeds almost all of their hoofstock, so if you visit, you'll likely come across a number of youngsters. Over the course of 2 tours, I'll be showing you the park's walk-through safari, which covers about half of their 80 acres. It is mostly home to the aforementioned hoofstock, but we'll also see a number of birds and a few other surprises along the way. Moving past a pond filled with alligators and a few of the park's many bird exhibits is the beginning of our safari. You'll notice that the exhibits here are mostly simple yards, yet at the same time the majority are very large and adequate for their inhabitants. It's also worth mentioning that until this spring, this portion of the park was only viewable by bus tour. The first forested habitat contains the Sarus Crane of Southeast Asia. With a wingspan stretching 8.5 feet and standing at 6 feet tall, the Sarus Crane is the world's largest flying bird. They inhabit swampy, wetland areas, feeding on aquatic plants, fish, and frogs. Like many other birds, mating pairs engage in elaborate courtship dances. Next door was a pair of young double-wattled cassowaries. Looking like something straight out of Jurassic Park, the cassowary is renowned as the world's most dangerous bird due to their large, sharp talons and ability to deliver a powerful kick. Despite this, they are mostly shy and secretive in the wild, inhabiting the rainforest of Australia, New Guinea, and Indonesia. Across the path is an even larger bird, the common ostrich, which can run at speeds of over 40 miles per hour. Males can be distinguished by their darker color and notably pink bills, while the coloration of the females is a more dull brownish gray. Finally reaching the first of many antelope species with the Lowland Nyala, hailing from the savanna and woodlands of southern Africa. Quickly moving on to a desert-dwelling species that is thought to be behind the myth of the unicorn, the Scimitar-horned Oryx. Considered to be extinct in the wild, the last wild Scimitar-horned Oryx died in the 1960s due to a combination of habitat loss, competition with livestock, and uncontrolled hunting. Historically, they could be found throughout North Africa, meaning they are well adapted to life in the deserts. Like other desert species such as camels, they can go days without water. As you can see in what will become a common theme on this tour, there was a youngster amongst the herd. Next to the oryx, in a long, narrow yard, is perhaps the least known of the ratite family, the greater Rhea of the South American grasslands. They look quite similar to the ostriches we just saw, but are much smaller, standing at just 3 to 5 feet tall as compared to a male ostrich which can reach heights of over 9 feet. Back across the pathway, looking almost identical to the more commonly displayed Bontebok, is a herd of Blesbok antelope, who also had a youngster in their midst. The Blesbok was once one of the most common antelope on the African plains. Due to overhunting, they became scarce in the 1800s, but conservation efforts have helped the population rebound, and they have even been introduced to areas beyond their original range. Tucked in the corner, I was able to see the common waterbuck, who are found widespread throughout sub-Saharan Africa, typically living near water as their name implies. Since we'll be seeing them again on part 2 of our tour, for now we'll be moving on to the adjacent paddock where I saw a pair of common eland. The eland is the world's largest antelope, with males weighing in at over 2,000 pounds and reaching lengths of more than 11 feet long. Up next, on the other side of the path, is the longhorned Watusi Cattle. Similar in appearance to the Texas longhorn, this domesticated species originates from East Africa with horns that span 8 feet from tip to tip. Keeping with the theme of impressive horns with the spiral-horned greater kudu, second only to the eland among the tallest antelope. Females will live in herds together with their offspring, while males will live alone or in smaller bachelor groups. Next to the kudu were Roan Antelope, another large antelope species. Known to be aggressive, the Roan Antelope will attack and even kill predators when threatened. They make a number of unique sounds, including a high-pitched squeal when agitated. Laying in the grass towards the front of the habitat, I was able to spot a pair of young calves. At this age, the mother will leave the calf hidden in the grass, much like a mother deer leaves her fawn. Our next stop finally takes us out of Africa and instead to the mountains of Central Asia to see the Himalayan Tahr. This goat-like antelope is well adapted to life at high altitudes, living on rugged mountainous terrain. Outside of their native range, Himalayan Tahr have been introduced to areas like New Zealand, South Africa, and even right here in the United States. Across one of the old tour bus roads and somewhat tucked into the corner, I was not able to catch much action from their white-bearded wildebeest. And at the farthest point of the trail was my favorite habitat in the entire park for Asian water buffalo, who were living up to their name. This species has been domesticated across Southeast Asia for more than 5,000 years. They are used in place of tractors as well as for other uses like transportation. Thanks to their domestication, they can now be found widespread outside of their original range, which is believed to have been central India and Nepal. Now beginning to backtrack, on the right side of the path is a large sloping hillside for Blackbuck antelope. So naturally, all of them were brown and not black in color. But the males do darken to become darker brown or black in color as they mature. These males defend large territories in order to claim breeding rights to the females inside it. Blackbuck hunting is now prohibited in India as a response to the species' declining population. Nearby was a large herd of critically endangered Addax. These North African natives have many special adaptations to help them survive in harsh desert environments, including the changing of their coat color between seasons to help maintain body temperature. There may be less than 100 wild Addax remaining, but luckily they are still plentiful in zoos, and reintroduction efforts are already underway. One of our final stops is this row of 3 simple bird habitats, very similar to those found elsewhere in the park. In these, I saw a flock of Chilean flamingos, as well as laughing kookaburras, gray argus, Nene geese, and several other species. Directly across from them was a small yard, home to a few very happy-looking domestic pigs. You're now backtracked to the Oryx and the Watusi cattle, an exhibit that the pigs evidently also have access to. From there, you once again pass by all the exhibits we saw at the beginning until you reach the main portion of the park. And that concludes our first look at this unique facility. In a couple months, we'll be back for part 2, where we'll meet a couple of the park's largest residents and see a species that's so rare in North American zoos we'll almost certainly never see one again on these tours.